afternoon. My name's David, and today I'm going to give you a quick little tour of some of the things I've done to my Jeep to help it perform better off-road. So if you see over here, this thing here, this bracket, pole, whatever you want to call it, it's called a sway bar. You can see it moves up and down, and it goes all the way around in a U shape on both sides. And these little connections here, when they're connected, they connect to the axle, and that allows the axle to move at the same rate. Rather than having one side of the axle go up or the other, they go up at the same time, which means like when you're going really fast on a highway, rather than the spring compressing on itself, the car won't roll over. Because if you're going really fast, the amount of centrifugal force will squeeze this spring, and then the car's unstable because there's less traction in the back. So if you see over here, there's a device called a pitman arm, which connects the steering mechanism to the axle and allows the wheels to turn. It's this thing right here. This is not the stock pitman arm. When you lift a car, it makes the pitman arm at a very unsafe angle, which doesn't allow it to turn properly. So what I've done here is I've gotten a dropped pitman arm, which is a little bit longer, and it creates these parallel mounts between the axle and the steering components. In addition to having to get a dropped pitman arm, I had to get a track bar drop. Normally the track bar mounts in right here. As you can see, there's this little shape here. That's a bracket that I've mounted, which moves the track bar down to here. When you lift the car, it creates a very unsafe angle for the track bar. By dropping it, it makes the car more stable, and it helps get rid of a very scary syndrome called death wobble. Now the main point of the lift is these. I had these on the front and back. These springs, used to mount it about right here. The car would sit here, but once you get the new springs, that's what lifts the car mainly. It gave it another 4 inches is what I specified with. When you lift the car though with springs, you have to do all of those safety features as well as get new shocks. These shocks are a little bit longer than the other ones, which help keep the angles all correct and keep it stable. You're good. There you are. When you lift a vehicle, there are multiple modifications that must be made to its drivetrain to maintain optimal functionality. This here is called the transfer case. It has 2 drive shafts that send power to either the rear or the front, depending on the situation that it calls for. When you lift a vehicle, the transfer case stays mounted up to right here, which is where it normally is, but when the axles are lower than the car, because of the difference in the lift, the angle from this to the axle increases at a very unsafe amount. This can cause either A, the axle to twist unsafely, B, the drive shaft can break, or it can just make a really annoying vibration when you're on the highway going those types of speeds because it rubs and the weight on it is not distributed properly. So what I've done here when I lifted it is this bracket that mounts it has spacers in it. Kind of hard to see, but it ended up dropping the transfer case about 2 to 3 inches, and that safely allowed these angles to line up perfectly with the axles to what it was normally before I lifted it, thus allowing the car to perform safely off-road with a lift kit. As you can see, lifting a vehicle is very complicated. It takes very particular part selection as well as very accurate calculations in order to make sure you do it safely as well as properly. Some other things I've done to make this more safe off-road is I've installed grill mesh behind the grill, which helps protect it from rocks and pebbles that are kicked up while off-roading. I've also installed tow hooks to help pull people out or get myself pulled out whenever we're in trouble. We also have new, much larger Cooper tires, 31 inches, the old ones were 29. We have a light bar up there. This provides much brighter conditions when it gets dark outside and literally makes it like daytime. We also have a spare tire mounted to the roof. Since the new one's much larger, it doesn't fit where the old spare tire used to, but this makes it a lot better off-roading if I end up getting a flat, because when I change the tires over, I'm not compromising anything for the spare. We also have the roof rack on the top, which holds the spare along with any other gear that I might need to bring.